Okay, everybody, welcome to our morning ascent today. I'm so excited to be with you and hope that you're all having a phenomenal day so far. I don't know if you can read what's on this board. I'm going to tell you about it here in just a moment. But first, I wanted to show you my current setup. So again, I'm down here in beautiful St. George, Utah. Thank you to our St. George agents and, of course, their fearless leader, June, for hosting me down here for the last couple of days. Take a look at my setup for keeping my computer screen up. Look at what I'm dealing with right now, folks. This is how I have my thing set up. So if you were wondering why I was struggling on the affirmations, I'm reading them off of the computer, but I was so worried if I got too close, I would blow the screen over. So that's the world I'm living in right now, but it works out great. So, hey, I am pumped to be with you. I've got a quick message and a few thoughts that I want to share with you. I hope you can see this. June actually taught this to me yesterday, and I just think it's phenomenal, and I want to share it with the entire group. At the top, it says chances of success, and you have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40%, 50%, all the way up to 100%. And then there are these statements next to the percentage. So, for example, chances of success with the statement, I won't, 0%. Chances of the statement, I wish I could, 30%. I want to, 40%. Up to, I think I can, 70%. I know I can, 90%, 100%, I will. And so I started thinking to myself in my own life, what has my experience been with these types of statements? Look, we all experience that self-talk in our head. We all experience the affirmation of what we can and what we cannot do. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about this. I'm planning right now an epic hike into the middle of Yellowstone. For any of you Yellowstone lovers out there, it's the Merry Mountain Trail between Old Faithful and Hayden Valley. And I've got a group of people that are planning on coming with me. And in the email that I'm preparing to send out to everyone, one of the comments I'm going to make, it's a 20-mile hike, lasts all day, you have to do it in one day. And one of the comments that I'm going to make in there is really the idea that we're only as good as our slowest hiker. We're only as fast as our slowest hiker. We're only, you've all heard that phrase, right? And the concept that I'm looking at when I think of this, and I hope that you can follow along with me here, is as I read this and think of that idea of like, oh, you're only as fast as your slowest person on the team, or you're only as good as or strong as your weakest link, right? We've all heard that. I sat and thought to myself, boy, we really are only as strong sometimes as the weakest things that we're telling ourselves. And that might be a negative spin on this. I'll give you an example of what I mean. When I was 19 years old, I applied to be a missionary for my church. I sent in an application to become a missionary for my church. And there were two questions on this application. And one question said, how well do you think you would succeed, or how capable do you think you are at learning a new language? So that was question number one, is how do you think you would do at learning a new language? Question number two, how interested are you in learning a new language? Basically, do you want to learn a new language? Here's what I think is interesting. And I regret this to this day, not sure if it would have impacted where I served. I was in Toronto, Canada. But when I got that, I said on question number one, can you learn a language? I was at 90% here. I know I can. I knew I was capable of it. But on the second question of how interested are you? My attitude was basically, I don't want to. Or not I can't, but more of an I won't or don't want to. And yeah, I did not get invited to learn a language, and I thought, interesting. I was kind of only as good as my weakest statement right at that moment. And then think about you each and every day as you're battling to get on the phone, do the things that you need to do. What wins usually? Ask yourself that, because I know that we all have great intentions. Say, I'm going to get on the phone, or I'm going to make this call. I'm going to make this extra question and have this extra question. The list goes on and on. What wins most of the time for you when you're negotiating with yourself or considering the approach? Is it the strong statements of I'm going to do this, I know I can, I know I can get this done? Or are you negotiating yourself out of doing what you know you need to do? And I just love this because mentally, we have so much ability to be mentally strong and to achieve the things we want. And it's crazy how much our words matter. What we say, not just out loud, but what we say internally in our mind, they matter. So in the coming days, possibly even today, you're going to see a note come from me on the daily message. Well, I've got a daily message that will be coming out, and I talk about the phrase consistency in there. And consistency is the message that I want to share on that. And then today, just briefly, I'm not sure if it's today or not, but the quote that I read recently that I love states, and if you have a pen and paper, write this down or text yourself, whatever. Consistent action creates consistent results. Consistent action creates consistent results. Now, when I use the word consistent or consistency, I know what you're thinking. I know you're going consistent prospecting, consistent showing up to the office, consistent whatever. I want you to pause for just a moment. I'm not saying anything about doing positive things or negative things, or it's just a statement. Consistent action creates consistent results. Think about your own lives for just a moment. What in your life happens consistently that does create consistent results? Think about your health. Think about your relationships. Think about your wealth and the way in which you handle your finances. Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or ugly. The consistent actions that you take are creating consistent results. Of that, I'm certain. And so the big wake-up call there, because every one of us has evidence in our lives at some level or another that the actions that you're taking regularly are creating the results that you're achieving. So if you change your actions, if you put the actions in place to accomplish what you want to accomplish, you can expect to have great results. And it's really a motivating and exciting thing because it's real. And look, I've seen it in my life. I'm sure you've seen it in your life. But here's where it starts. It starts right here mentally. And I'm so grateful to June for sharing this because I love the idea. But when you start making a decision in your life and start saying things like, I know I can and I will, rather than I know that I can, but I won't. Isn't that interesting? Think of other things in your life. Like I always think about, boy, I'd sure love to play the piano. Even as an adult, I've thought I would love to learn how to play the piano. And I think, can I? Well, I think I can. Other adults I've known have, so I guess I can. And then I've even seen other people do it. And I go, I know that I can do that. But it turns way more into well, I wish I could. I don't know how. And then always, I won't. Not going to happen. So guys, we all have a million examples of that, but that's just, I love the concept there. So the key is right now is what can you incorporate into your business consistently and be doing every single day? Throughout my career, the thing that I have focused on, and the thing that as soon as you hang up this phone call today that you could just step up and go do, is choose a number of people to go and speak with. Now, your focus should be each day setting one appointment daily. So the number of contacts you want should be how many people are you going to speak with to result in one contact? Let's just say for a moment that that number is 30. That your objective right now is to speak with 30 people each day. Watch how consistency works, agents. 30 people each day times 5 days a week equals 150. You know, I'm on video. I am going to get my calculator out. I'd rather look like a fool getting a calculator out than screwing up the math and then getting it. That one was easy. I was never going to mess that one up, I promise. 150. Now, here's what I really like to think about. What if you had 150 contacts every week for 42 weeks of the year? That sounds like a lot. I know that it sounds like a lot, okay? But I want you to consider for a moment 6,300 people. What would happen in your business, agents, if you talk to 30 people per day, five days a week, 150 per week, times 42 weeks? And here's what's beautiful about the 42-week thing. If you work 42 weeks, that means you're getting 2.5 months of vacation. Now, is anybody on this call taking 2.5 months worth of vacation each year? Certainly not on purpose, you're not. I shouldn't ask that question to a group of realtors. I hope you're laughing. So I actually always loved the statement, Mike Ferry, I always love the statement that he says. He says, if you're only going to do 3 or 4 deals a year, you might as well get them done in January so you can relax the rest of the year. I love that. So 6,300 per year. Here's what's great about consistency and doing things consistently. That dominates, right? And I'm just saying the goal is 30. I don't care if it's 5, 10, 20, whatever. What if your goal was to do 30 a week and instead you only landed on, or 30 a day, 150? And what if you did, well, 20 one day and 10 another and maybe 5 another, and then all of a sudden you end up at the end of the week averaging 15 per day. 15 a day is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not the goal that you set, and you're not being consistent and you're lying to yourself. So again, don't focus right now on whether accomplishing 15 a day is okay, because it's not bad, right? You go 15 times 5 equals 75 equals 3,150, because you're exactly 50% of what you did. Notice no calculator was used there. So look, talking to 3,150 people, again, is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not what you said you were going to do, and you miss out on the consistency. And we're talking for 42 weeks a year only. And when you look at that, the vast difference of what you might accomplish by contacting 6,300 versus 3,100 is extraordinary. The difference of people you would connect with. And here's the thing, agents, look, I've been spending the majority of my career over the course of 14 or 15 years or something. The majority of the time that I've spent has been in the world of helping develop agents, working with agents, and coaching, training, speaking, all of that kind of stuff, mentoring. And I have to tell you what my reality that I have seen. You might have experienced something different, but I mean, I have worked with hundreds upon hundreds of individuals. This is what I have seen. That the agent might say, I'm going to do 30 per day times 5 days a week, 150. My experience has been, if we're lucky, they end up with 30 in the entire week. Because when you don't do what you're going to say for 1 week, and then you get to the next week, guess what? You're not as you already talked yourself out of it. You've already convinced yourself, I don't have to be consistent because I wasn't last week. This happens in so many areas of our lives, but it certainly happens in this world of consistency. Remember, consistent action creates consistent result. If you go 5 days in a row consistently not doing what you're supposed to do, it's going to have the result you get from not doing what you're supposed to do. And part of the result will be that you will continue to not do what you're supposed to do. We all know this. I know this from personal experience. Look, when I first got into real estate, I would set these goals and do the exact same thing. It wasn't till I got a great accountability partner. It wasn't until I started working by objective rather than crisis. Right? Let me just put those words up on the board if you don't have them. Objective versus crisis. You ever heard that phrase? I'm sure you have. I talk about it all the time. working out of objective versus crisis. What does that mean? When you are working by objective, it means you have a goal, something that you're trying to accomplish, a person that you're trying to become, specific financial goals, whatever it might be. That's when you're working by objective. When you're working by crisis is when you're working to get the gas bill paid. Crisis is when you're working to get the insurance, house payment, and all of those things paid. That's when you're working by crisis. And here's what's interesting. When I look at these two things, I believe if I took the vast group of agents on this call right now and said, hey, you must take a listing by Friday of next week, or else, fill in the blank, something terrible will happen if you don't take a listing by next Friday. Ask yourself, could you do it? And not just could you do it, but what would you need to do to accomplish that? So I believe, as a general statement, everybody on this call can answer that question. They know what they need to do to get the job done. And they're capable of doing it if a crisis shows up. What if you treated achieving your goals and accomplishing your objectives so fiercely that it was as critical as one of these crises that may show up in your life? Because I've been there. I know the feeling. I know the experience of needing to get that paycheck. I know early in my career, I won't bore you with all the nonsense, but Dave Parker and I have some great stories to share. I do have to tell you, Dave Parker and I were joking the other day, though, amidst all the challenges of being a brand new agent and being a partnership and trying to get money and all of this stuff, we never missed a good meal every day. We always went out to eat and had a great meal every day. That's a story for another time. But the best part, guys, is just knowing when you are consistent and taking action to achieve your objective, there's something that clicks in your brain and in your mind that turns you from being maybe a non-producer, an inconsistent producer, to truly becoming a legend. A legend. And not just a legend in our business, but a legend in your family, a legend for future generations, a legend for the life that you're capable of living. There are wonderful things that are available at your fingertips if you will do what you want to do and what you need to do. And I've said it and I've seen it a million times, and I'm not even going to say any names on this, but I can give you 1,000 examples right now of individual agents who stepped up, did what they said they were going to do, and great things happen in their lives. And unfortunately, I can share you 1,000 examples of they stopped doing what they needed to do. But there's a few who keep doing it, who keep the consistency, and it blesses their lives and blesses the lives of others for a long, long time. So agents, today, the message is this: consistent action creates consistent results. And in your mind, if you will be using consistently words like, I know that I can, and I will, your possibility for success is going to increase tenfold. You know it will. And remember, you're only as strong as the weakest things that you're telling yourself and the weakest of what you're saying. And if in your mind you're saying, I won't, I don't know how, I wish I could, but I can't and I won't, your chances for success are much slimmer. So keep the positive thoughts going in your head, the positive statements. Stop negotiating with yourself in a negative way. Negotiate with yourself to do harder things, because you can do harder things. And then watch your life elevate. Watch your circumstances elevate, and watch the great consistency in your life get better. Agents, thank you so much for participating today in Morning Ascent. I'm grateful to have been here. Thank you to June, an amazing leader and an amazing friend, for sharing this information yesterday, which I think is phenomenal. And guys, let's do our closing affirmations. I hope you guys have a great day today. Russ, let's rock and roll.